Welcome to Radically Rewired, the show where I fuse science and spirituality to give tangible tips to feel more confident, get more clarity, and live your most authentic and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Novoselsky, a former 9-to-5 desk job gal turned traveling entrepreneur, energy healer, and brain hacking yogi. This podcast is all about how to stop going through the motions and make the most of your human experience here on this earth. So let's learn how to get radically rewired. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Radically Rewired. I am so excited that you are here today because we're gonna dive in deep about the number one self-improvement tool that will change the trajectory of your life. Today, I'm currently still in Chicago. I'm living with my sister in Chicago. It's been so much fun. This is something we've dreamed about since we were little, so it's super fun to have a 2-bedroom in Chicago. And I'm staying here for the summer, Chicago summer, and then I'm gonna head on out to Europe, continuing to travel the world and doing my own thing. Because why? You can create a life that you love, however you wanna live it, on your own terms. No one else has to really approve of it except for you, as long as you're following your highest excitement. Today's episode, we're talking all about the number one self-improvement tool. What is it? I feel like we need a drum roll. And that, my friends, of course, is mindset. But it's not only mindset. I feel like that's a buzz term that's thrown out all the time. It really is your perspective on everything. And we're going to dive into how mindset scientifically can change your life a little bit later in our Neuron Nugget. But I want to start with a little soulful saga to relate it to my life and show you what exactly I mean when I say mindset, because I feel like I'm really truly talking about perspective and the way that you look at things. So let's get into our first segment of Soulful Saga time. So as you may know, because you've been listening to all of the other episodes or seen my Instagram, all the things, I, of course, was in corporate and I was miserable in my job. And I remember talking to a mentor of mine and I was like, look, I am so miserable in my job. I need to leave. Anything would be better. Let me go wait tables. Let me go work. I was looking at working at Sprinkles here in Chicago, which is like a cupcake place. I was like, that would be so fun. I want to go work at Sprinkles. And I remember my mentor telling me, Nikki, you're not allowed to leave your job until you find happiness exactly where you're at. He was like, you can't quit until you learn to love it. And I'm like, wait, what? Why? I actually hate this job and this job isn't for me. Like, why do I have to stay in a place that I don't love when I could be somewhere else that I probably like more? And what he said to me was so fascinating. I remember like ruminating on it for weeks. And he was like, well, if you can learn to love the job that you're in, you're actually learning to have an internal change versus an external shift. Because every single job you go to after this, yeah, maybe the environment's a little bit better, but your mind is still wired to find the negatives in things, to find things of like, oh, I don't like this about the job, or oh, this is not great, and blah, 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 things like that, right? So it was almost like my mind was wired to complain, to find all the negative things going on in my life. And so I made a mission and I was like, okay, I'm not going to quit until I actually find happiness here. And that made me have to seek out happiness in my job. And so little tasks that I was doing that I usually would be annoyed at, I was like, okay, actually, this is fine. If I get this done, I can go take my lunch break. And then on lunch breaks, I would make an effort to hang out with my friends. And we actually, instead of eating at our desks, we would go down 3 floors to like this nice little lounge area, and we would make an effort to put our phones away, computers away, and just sit and talk about our days. And that made it so much more enjoyable. And then I was starting to connect with people more. I was starting to walk around the office a little bit and not just like be seated at my desk doing work that I didn't really love. So I was able to actually be like, hey, this job really isn't so bad because I was the one making the most of it. And so if there's a situation that you're in that you're not loving, it's like, well, how can you flip your perspective? Because whatever you're giving energy to, whatever thoughts you're thinking about, that's going to increase. That's what's going to be the major focus in your life. And so it's my whole focus was, I hate my job. I hate this. I hate waking up early. I hate taking the train. I hate having to go in. I hate doing these tasks. And it was like my whole life was just engulfed in, wow, I hate this. And that was the main focus. And then I switched it to be like, actually, I'm finding joy in this. Yeah, maybe it's not the thing I want to do forever, but I'm finding joy in the little things. So this is why for self-improvement, often we get stuck in our own loops. I was stuck in my loop of, I hate this, I can't find a good job, all of this sucks, and I would just beat myself up and be down in this loop versus, okay, once we find ourselves getting into this thought loop, how can we swerve ourselves out of it? I'll give you another example. When I first started my business, it was really hard. There are days where it still is really, really hard. This isn't easy. Like building your own path. Of course, I love the freedom, but it's not easy. I have many days where I'm like, oh my goodness, is this going to work? I feel like I should be further along. And sometimes I find myself being like, wow, building this business is difficult. And I go into this spiral of, oh my goodness, this is never going to work. I should just not put effort into a podcast or a YouTube video or this because it's just not working. And sometimes I go down that spiral hole and that's all that I'm seeing. Versus when I can become aware that I'm in that thought loop, I can be like, okay, here I am in this thought loop. How can I actually find joy and like what I'm creating? And then I can view my life differently. I can take on a different perspective. Instead of business being hard, I can find, yes, it's a challenge, but it's almost like a test to see if I'm up for it. And once I view it like that, I then get motivation to start working on my business instead of feeling like beaten down by it of like, I'm just defeated from this. So it's really all about how you view things. I recently just went through a breakup, and you can view a breakup as, oh my goodness, why didn't this work? I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. But I decided to view that as this is a redirection for my life to continue down what path I want to take. And that feels way more empowering. Of course, I have really sad days and I allow myself to feel that emotion, but your perspective changes how you feel and how you view life. And if we're just constantly beating ourselves up in our head and we have this negative perspective on everything, we're going to feel more stressed out, more anxious, more depressed, and just fall into this loop. The good news is you can shake the loop and you can take a different path at any time. I want to talk about the science behind this, and then I want to give you a brain hack to actually start to shift this loop so that you can feel like you're improving this second, today, from this podcast, okay? So let's get into our next segment called Neuron Nugget. Dun, 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 dun. So there's a psychology term called confirmation bias, which when I really dove deep into learning about confirmation bias, I was like, this is so fascinating, because the psychology is that when we have a deep belief, we will process the world in whatever we believe. So it's almost like we're viewing the world with a lens through this belief. For example, let's go back to when I thought business was hard. I was viewing the world with the lens of businesses are hard to create. And so everything I saw, if my post didn't get a lot of likes, I was like, yep, it's hard. If I wasn't making a certain amount of money, I was like, yep, business is hard. If I was going out and someone was asking me about my business and I heard that they were way more successful, I was like, well, my business is hard and it's easy for them. Whereas if I were to think that business is easy, I would maybe view things as, oh, well, I got 3 likes on this post. Wow, that's 3 people who are interested in my business. Or, I would go out and I would be like, wow, this person has a really successful business. That means that there is room for my business to be successful. It's almost like a flip. So not only is this a psychological term, there was a study done at Emory University that used fMRI scans to observe brain activity in people when they were presented with political ideas and beliefs. The studies found that the brain's reward centers were activated when the information confirmed their beliefs. So this study, in plain terms, just shows how deeply ingrained confirmation bias is in our everyday lives, because we are constantly interpreting the world in what we believe. So if we want to self-improve, we have to start believing different things. If I want my business to take off, I have to believe that it can. And that it's not necessarily hard. It might be a challenge, but I am up for the challenge. If I want to love my job, I have to believe that not all jobs are miserable, that I can truly enjoy any job that I'm in, because that's an internal shift, not an external shift, right? So it all starts up here with our mindset and our perspective. So here is a brain hack that you can do to actually break out of the loop that you're stuck in if you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm just so miserable in my job, I'm miserable in my relationship, I'm just miserable in my life, I can't get off the couch, I feel uninspired. It's like, well, what is going on there? Why are you not inspired? What lens are you viewing the world through? Okay, so we're gonna get into our next segment, brain hack of the day. Brain hack of the day. Woo! Okay, so I want you to become aware of what beliefs you have. Because the confirmation bias is so ingrained in us, we might not even know what our beliefs are. So, in order to understand our beliefs, you have to look at whatever areas in your life that you're feeling a little bit of friction or tension. Maybe it's in your job, maybe it's in your relationship, maybe it's just in general in your life. I want you to take a look at, what are your beliefs? Do you believe that you must stay married? Or do you believe that you won't find anyone else in your life? Do you believe that your partner's a good person? Do you believe that you are not worthy to have another partner? Do you believe that you must suffer in your job? Do you believe that you have to work a 9 to 5? Do you believe that you're only worthy enough to make X amount of money and that it's really, really hard to break past the amount of money that you're used to? What are the beliefs that you have? And get real honest with yourself. This might be difficult, but I want you to imagine that you're duplicating yourself and you're looking at yourself, you're having a conversation with yourself, and you're asking yourself about your beliefs. This helps you just witness what the beliefs are so that it can feel a little less like personal attack on you. So it's almost like we're removing ourselves and we're just witnessing what the beliefs are. From here, I then want you to find evidence. You're going to put your detective goggles on, your detective glasses out, our magnifying glass, and you're going to scan your life for evidence that the opposite is true. So let me give you an example of something that happened to me the other day. Literally, it's a roller coaster. I am not like the end-all be-all person of, oh my gosh, I'm so healed. I'm constantly learning. This is always a learning and growing process. So I am hosting a group program called the Freedom Fast Track. If you're interested, I'll give you more information in a second. But I'm hosting this in about 6 weeks. And maybe by the time you're listening to this, it'll already be going. And so whatever time you're listening to this at, that's okay. There's probably some version of the Freedom Fast Track happening, but I'm hosting the next one in 6 weeks. And the other day I made a little post about it. And it was just like a little soft baby launch. I just like kind of mentioned it. And I got 6 people interested. And I was so excited. I'm like, wow, 6 people are interested. And I didn't even like really make any hard posts about it. This was like just a tiny little mention. And I didn't have anything ready for it yet. The next day, I literally was like, what if no one's in this program? Oh my goodness, this is going to be so hard to get so many people into this program. And then I caught myself and I was like, what is the evidence that it's not going to be hard? What is the evidence that it's going to be easy? And the evidence is already there that 6 people are already interested, that I have a ton more people on my email list. I have a ton more people listening to the podcast. I have a ton more people on Instagram and all these things. I'm doing meetup events here in Chicago, and I'm like, there's going to be people interested. It's going to work out. And so I had to remind my brain of that evidence so that I didn't spiral into, it's not going to work out, business is hard, right? Because that's an easy spiral for me, and I have to constantly take the work to remind myself not to. So whatever you believe, if you believe that you're not worthy enough, I've done this so many times, I'm not worthy enough in a relationship. I've had to find evidence of where men were interested in me. And I had to prove to myself, no, Nikki, that's not true, because look at all the men that have been interested in you. Look at how many friends you have, how many people want to love you and care about you and acknowledge you, right? So sometimes our brain does these things and we need to find the evidence. And it might be hard to find the evidence because we are so committed to our belief, but really try to find evidence on the other side to get the brain to see that it's not black or white. It's not this or that. There can be a whole spectrum of beliefs, and you get to choose, almost like a fitting room, like which belief do you want to try on and which belief do you want to have? And then just acknowledging and becoming aware that whatever beliefs you have, that's the lens you're looking through life with. So everyone is looking through life with a certain lens, and just becoming aware of that and acknowledging that is really helpful. So try on that brain hack of just recognizing what beliefs you're holding, and if that's the belief that you want to still hold, because you get to choose what belief you want to have. Do you want to believe that you're not lovable, or is there evidence that you can be loved? Like, where in your life have you felt loved? Where in your life have you not felt lonely? Where in your life have you felt success? I've had so many moments where business has been easy. I got clients just like that. I literally made one post and then someone would sign up and send me money. And I was like, wow, that was so easy. So when the brain wants to say, oh, business is hard, it's like, nope. Here's so many facts and evidence where business was not hard and money was super easy, right? So it's coming back to that evidence. And the best self-development tool is just flipping our perspective, having the awareness of our beliefs, and then being able to choose the belief that we want to continue with. So that was a little quick hit for today. I want to summarize it all because we talked about a lot in a short period of time. So let's get into our fulfillment fast track. So we discussed the self-development tool of shifting internally instead of externally, because whatever belief you hold, that's the belief that you're viewing the world with your lens. So you can switch jobs as many times as you want, you can get a new partner as many times as you want, but if you're constantly internally have the same belief, a lot of times the situation might end up the same. It might be a little bit different, but a lot of times, have you ever heard of someone who just complains all the time, no matter what situation they're in? It's because they're so wired to complain. So it's really tapping into your beliefs and what lens you're holding and making an internal shift instead of just an external shift. We also talked about confirmation bias, this psychological phenomenon, this term that's all about whatever you believe is how you're going to view life. If you think someone's an asshole, everything they do, you're going to be like, well, that was an asshole move. Even if they're like being really nice and trying to be really nice, you're going to be like, that's a red flag or whatever it is. But if you were to think they're a really nice person, everything they do, you might be like, wow, that was a really nice gesture, right? Whatever belief you have, you're going to view it from that lens. Then the brain hack of the day that we covered is finding the awareness, duplicating yourself, and then looking at yourself, asking yourself what beliefs you're holding currently and what beliefs do you want to change? What beliefs are you okay with? And what beliefs do you want to change in your business, in your relationship, in your love life, in your family life, in your life, just in general, in your personal life, how you view yourself. And then you get to find evidence for the belief that you want to change on the other end of the spectrum. So if you believe that business is hard, where is evidence that business has been easy? And it can be in your life, and it also can be in someone else's life. Like, for example, If you think that finding a relationship is hard and you've never had the experience of having a relationship just easily come to you, where has it been easy for other people? Because that can be your inspiration. If you've never hit $1 million and you feel like you're never going to hit $1 million in your business or in your life, who has hit $1 million? Let that be evidence. And maybe that person is similar to you, so it proves to you, yeah, this person is similar to me, coming from a similar background, and they were able to hit $1 million. So that's evidence and proof to me that I can do that too. So it doesn't necessarily only have to be your evidence. It could be someone else as well. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know how this goes for you. Definitely follow me on Instagram at Nikki Novoselsky, because I want to connect with you for sure. And if you are interested in the Freedom Fast Track, I am hosting a new group program at July 22nd. So if you want to join, definitely look at the link below to apply, and I will talk with you about what program option is the best for you. But I'd love to have you in the program because we're going to be helping you rewire the brain. We're going to raise the vibration, and we're also going to create you a strategic plan using my Soul Sync method, my unique method to get you to where you want to go, giving you that internal confidence to just go out there and live the life that you want to live. I've helped people grow their businesses. I've helped people find their dream relationships. I've helped people move across the world and the country. So whatever goal you want to do, whatever goal you want to have, you can have it. It just is a matter of building the mindset foundation, raising your vibration, and creating that strategic plan, and I want to help you. So definitely apply below because there's only a limited number of spots, and I want to make sure that you get in, or there will be a wait list. So thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I cannot wait to have you on more episodes. If you want to continue this beautiful journey of self-discovery and self-improvement, self-development with me, hit that subscribe button to get notified of more episodes, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you could just take 5 seconds of your time, hit that 5 stars to really help this podcast get out to more people. I'm so grateful that you're here taking another step towards an extraordinary life, and I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. This episode was made possible by my generous sponsor, Amplify Your Voice. And for more detailed episode notes and for details on the Freedom Fast Track program, take a look in the description. Each episode of Radically Rewired is a step toward getting off autopilot and soaring towards your goals. Let's continue this transformative journey together, my friends. Until next time, keep rewiring, keep thriving, and keep shining. Much love. Bye.